is a Furnish Brothers production.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Talkin' Buds podcast.
It is the Talkin' Buds podcast.
It's the Talkin' Buds podcast, folks.
Talkin' Buds podcast. Season 2, Talkin' Buds podcast. Let's go.
All he's got to do is get in the weight room, and oh, baby, he'll be a good pro in no time.
Good pro.
Stinks. Absolutely stinks.
Stanley Cup? How about let's just win a round?
What a dummy. You just know that Babs was looking to see if there was any gas left in the tank of that good pro. This
is the Talking Buds podcast. And now, here's your host, Rob and Ryan.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Talkin' Buds podcast. And Ryan. Where do we go with that?
Yeah, dude, that game is like, if you're a Leaf fan and you're watching that game, the amount of emotion and different thoughts that were running through my brain watching each period, and a lot of those thoughts were not rational because I was so angry and pissed off, and this hockey team is starting to get very predictable. And man, I want to be positive, but honestly, dude, I can't be positive right now. I can't.
Okay, so before we get into the Washington game, let's just quickly go over the week that was. When we last spoke, Ryan, we teed up last Thursday's matchup against the Tampa Bay Lightning. I actually scored some last-minute tickets to this game, and I went with my girlfriend. We sat in a box, and it was a debacle. That's the best way I can put it. They got their asses handed to them by the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Embarrassing hockey game. I turned it off. I didn't even watch the full game. I didn't even watch the end of it, man. I was just pissed. Like, come on, man.
So she got hooked up. So we're sitting in a box, right? And so I'm leaving. And as I'm leaving, like, you walk out the door to the box to, like, the main area to, like, get on the elevator. And Dubas and Shanny walk right by me. Two things.
Oh.
Kyle Dubas is way taller in person than he looks on TV. And two, he and Shanny both look pissed. And I am not over-exaggerating. They were not happy.
Yeah, they have no reason to be happy. Not surprised.
So they follow that up with a win on Saturday night in Detroit against the Red Wings, a game in which all the grinders, third and fourth line guys showed up. Some of the defensemen showed up. It was a night where the Stars pretty much were nowhere to be found, but nevertheless, good win, solid win against a divisional opponent. Last night, they play the Minnesota Wild, who are a horrific hockey team, and they pick up a 4-2 victory. And today, everybody's singing Kumbaya. We're all happy. They're back on. They've rattled off 2 wins in a row. And tonight they go into Washington, Ryan, and they start this game. Actually, before we get into the game, let's the main storyline going into tonight was Trevor Moore being promoted from the third line up with Tavares and Marner, and Kapanen being demoted down to the third line. Your thoughts on that move last night? Babcock, I'd like to think that Mike Babcock listened to Talkin' Buds last week, because we suggested exactly that.
Yep.
And
we said exactly that, and it wasn't really a surprise to me. It's like Trevor Moore is one of the most effective guys on the ice, shift by shift. Like, he's always in the play. He's always on my television screen, near the puck, or doing something well. And it was just all up to the stubborn guy who sits behind the bench to make decisions like that. And I'm surprised he actually went that quick, but at the same time, not so surprised, because Cappy, you might like him, but he's definitely not one of his Hymans or one of his favorites. So I thought it would have been easier for him to move him down because of that.
So, obviously, it's the second game of a back-to-back. So, Anderson plays last night. Hutchinson plays tonight. Babcock's taking heat for this decision. A lot of people, myself included, think that you should play your starter against the tougher opponent. Mike Babcock is not of that frame of mind. So, Hutchinson gets the start tonight against the Capitals. Capitals have lost 4 of 5 coming into this one, but they're catching the Leafs on the second night of a back-to-back. Under 5 minutes into the game, Trevor Moore sets up Kasperi Kapanen for a shorthanded goal. Trevor Moore is elevating everyone around him, even the guy he replaced on the first line. And you're going, there you go. You know, the Leafs, they've given up the first goal in 6 of 7 to this point, and now they're scoring first, and we're feeling pretty good. 6 minutes later, Kasperi Kapanen again sets up Ilya Mikheyev, who scores on a breakaway. And I have written here, playing on the third line is helping Kapanen as well, and the Leafs are up 2-0 early. You texted me at this point, and you said, Mikheyev is really good.
Yeah, I like him a lot, man. They've tried this experiment with a couple different guys, bringing them over from somewhere in Europe, either Russia or Sweden. And I think so far, if you compare him to the other guys they've brought in the past couple of years, compare him through these first couple of games, he's definitely the best I've seen out of the whole group, out of the Zaitsevs, the Borgmans, the Rosens, the list goes on and on. I think so far he's looked the most comfortable and looked like he's ready to contribute like on a nightly basis, either on the penalty kill or on the score sheet. And I like the guy's effort.
Forgot about Borgman.
Yeah, guys like that. They tried everything with those guys, and I just think so far this guy looks legit. I like him.
So, the Leafs are dominating this first period. The Capitals are playing right into the Leafs' hands. They're playing open, shinny, run-and-gun style. The Leafs love... If you go out there and you want to throw structure out the window and just play some shinny pond hockey, the Leafs are going to lick their chops at that. That's how all these guys want to play. So, 1:01 left in the first period. The Leafs are, like I said, in full run-and-gun mode, get caught out of position in the defensive zone. Carlson sets up Vrana. Is that how you say it, Ryan? Vrana?
Yeah, Vrana.
For a one-timer who blasts it by Hutchinson, rifles it past Hutchinson.
Yeah, that was a laser beam.
Yeah. So the first period ends
wide open, no forward covering.
Yep.
It's just a guy I'm going to sit out here up by the face-off dot. Let me take a one-timer while you just watch.
So that's what did I just say? I said they were, if you want to play pond hockey, that's how the Leafs want to play. We'll get into that later, but it's frustrating. First period ends. Caps are up 12-11 in shots, but it was a pretty dominating period for the Leafs. I thought they looked really good, and I felt really good about it. That was their best start. We've heard a lot of start on time arguments so far this season, and I thought that was their best start to any game this season. Second period starts. Caps almost score. Puck goes under Hutchinson's arm, but hits the post. Close one there. Moments later, Kuznetsov, though, catches the Leafs on a line change. 2-2.
Yeah, tired shift. He just blew by everyone.
Yeah.
He made Johnny T look silly.
Yeah,
and then
Barry's just out of gas.
Yeah, Barry's just looking for the wrong man, and it's just like, man, like that's I knew right then and there it was like, this game's over. Like, they're not even in the lead yet. I know it's over.
11 seconds later, sort of a set play. Caps win the faceoff, dump it into the Leafs zone. Oshie out hustles the Leafs, beats the defenseman and all the forwards in, turns around, sets up Backstrom for a one-timer. Boom, 3-2 Caps.
Yep, no forward covering Backstrom again. Kerfoot's just watching Oshie make a pass. It's like, great. Thanks, boys. Thanks for the pickup. Thanks for really being in good position. Thanks.
15 seconds later, Nick Shore takes a penalty out front of the net, which is almost instantly followed by Cody Ceci taking a delay of game penalty for knocking the puck into the stands. The Caps will have a 5-on-3 for 1 minute and 51 seconds. Seconds later, they score on the 5-on-3. Ovi fakes a shot and passes it to Carlson. 4-2 Caps.
Gorgeous.
Leafs are coming, and I have here in my notes, Leafs are coming unglued.
Yeah, that was a gorgeous play by Ovi. That was unreal. But yeah, like when they start feeling the heat and the other team starts to put the pressure on and they've kind of figured out what they have to do to beat this hockey team, it's just, I feel like there's just no coming back. Like once they went down 4-2, I had zero confidence that they were going to come back and make it a hockey game. They scored, but it was really late to make it 4-3. But after seeing that goal, it's like, dude, it's over. Like they're not coming back. Like here we go again. They get overpowered by a strong hockey team in this league, and they just look like they can't do anything. They can't beat anyone. Like they're not going to win anything. Like it's just, my brain is just headed to the most negative space of all time because it's just the same thing over and over and over again. It's so frustrating.
Let's wrap up the game wrap here, and then we'll have a holistic discussion. You just basically fast forwarded through it because there was not a whole lot that went on. I do want to make note of Jake Muzzin, who I think has been their best defenseman so far through 8 games. Made a nice pinch with 2:33 left. Broke up a Caps rush, which set up Tavares for a goal to make it 4-3, and that's how the game would end. Through 8 games, the Maple Leafs are 4-3-1. And Ryan, we got a lot to talk about. So on the other side here, let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for downloading this week's episode of the show. If you like the show and want to support us, give us a follow on Instagram at Talkin' Buds Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes or wherever else you get your podcasts. Spread the word. Tell your friends. We really appreciate all your support. Thank you.
Now, let's get back to the Toronto Maple Leaf Podcast for all the buds. This is the Talking Buds Podcast.
Well, Ryan, as I just said before the break there, the Maple Leafs are 4-3-1 to start the season. I've got a lot of thoughts. You've got a lot of thoughts. But my main thing, and to start this conversation here, I want to start it with this. Through 8 games, same old, same old. They made a lot of changes in the offseason, got rid of guys, brought new guys in, but this is still the same pond hockey team that they've been for the last 3 years. And it's getting to the point, Ryan, where and listen, it's 8 games in, okay? So I get it. Let's not all overreact. But it is concerning that this early on, the signs and the bad habits from years past are all still here. Not starting on time. Very, very sketchy, poor play in their own zone. Once a team, like what you saw with Washington tonight, is they played the Leafs game in the first period and it wasn't going their way. They regrouped in the intermission and said, we need to play a more structured game, stand up at our blue line, not let them get their zone entries and cycles going. And that's how we shut them down. And they did. And the game completely turned in their favor.
Yeah. And it's just, I'm so sick of the it's early line. Like, I'm sorry, it's not early for this hockey team. This is the same core group of guys who've been plugging away for the past 3 years. Like, I'm not doing this early stuff. Like, yeah, Tyson Barrie's a new guy, and see, like, there's not that much turnover. You still have the main guys patrolling your top 2 lines. So that excuse is not in it for me, and I'm so sick of this hockey team just never getting any offensive zone time. Anytime you see them get a goal that's not a power play, it 9 times out of 10, it's the goals you saw tonight, like Mikheyev on a breakaway or more on a 2-on-1. When's the last time you saw the Leafs like grind a team down in their own zone and work a man free and hit him with a pass and put it in after a hard-working shift, or have any offensive zone time for more than 20 seconds? Like tonight was just, like early, it was like the first period, the Caps were brutal. Like the Caps were brutal and the Leafs had a bit of legs. But once, like what you said, the Caps put some structure in their game, it was game over, man. And I had no confidence that they could do anything to beat that hockey team once the Caps figured it out. And it's a problem for me. Something needs to change on this hockey team. I know it's so early and it seems like such a hot take for some people, But, dude, I'm not doing this all year. I'm not believing in this team all year because they win 4 games against 4 crappy teams.
Yeah.
Like, they've lost every game to every good hockey team so far this season, and it's all been kind of the same script so far, and I'm getting sick of it.
At this point, we are, it's well documented how both of us feel about Babcock, but at this point, like, who are you blaming right now? Are you blaming Babcock? Are you blaming Dubas? Are you blaming the personnel? Like, what do you think is the reason? Like, at some point, you have to look at the DNA of this team and say, and no one gets on Babcock more than me. No one. But at some point, you have to look at the DNA of this team and the core of this team and say, a leopard doesn't change its spots. I don't know if this team will ever play, like you just described, grinding other teams down with a cycle and like being aggressive offensively in that respect. I don't know if this team will ever do that. I just don't think that this core of players is built that way.
Yeah, then you're going to go down again and you're not going to win a thing. It's just, I think there's blame to go around for all 3, Dubas, personnel, and Babcock. One thing I will say about Babcock is like we've said this a million times, we're beating a dead horse, but I'm so tired of his shtick, his stubbornness, the way just nothing's changed. Like, there's no change in game plan. They're still doing that stupid drop pass at center ice that slows all the forwards down ahead of that guy who's getting the puck. So he dumps it in and no one has any momentum going to the puck. And look how easy it is for the Washington Capitals to break out of their zone. It is a walk in the park, no problem. And it's brutal, man. I'm actually pissed after tonight. Like, the first 3 years with this core, it's anytime they had a game like this, it was like, okay, fine. These are the guys we drafted. This is our core. They have to learn. But now it's to the point where I'm so over that. They all got their contracts. Like, when I see a game like that tonight, it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable, and everyone has a blame in it because Dubas also constructed this roster with all the same hockey players, and Babcock's stubborn, and the forwards can't come back in their own zone and cover anyone.
The thing that the thing that takes the wind out of my sails is the style of hockey that this team excels at is not going to win you a Stanley Cup.
No, and I don't care if your personnel like warrants that style of play. Who cares? You make them play another style.
Yeah. So
and they'll learn.
So that then goes to the coaching, Ryan. Like, if
I would have no problem if Mike Babcock got fired tomorrow. Let's just say that.
No, neither would I.
No issue.
Neither would I.
No issue whatsoever. Wouldn't hurt a thing.
Yeah, neither would I.
I'd be excited, actually.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, but neither would I. And you made a good point there, and you're right. They've lost. So the games this year that have been like the really bad games, like the first one was against the Habs, who are a perennial playoff team. We don't know if the Habs are going to make the playoffs, but they'll be in the wild card discussion. Then the other bad loss was to the Lightning, who, even though they've had a slow start to the season, everyone still considers them a cup favorite, and the Leafs got dummied in that game. And then tonight, team that won the cup 2 years ago is able to overcome a bad period, settle down, score a bunch of goals, and again, this game ends, and you feel like we just watched the Leafs excel for a period playing shinny, and then when the opponent said, okay, we're going to settle down and play a structured game, the type of game that won us the Stanley Cup 2 years ago, they don't know how to play against that, Ryan. It's so frustrating. And I see a lot of people tonight on Twitter or Instagram. We've already had one comment on our Instagram of someone saying we need a new backup goalie. Listen, Hutch wasn't great tonight, okay? But you're seeing when Hutchison plays, and Freddie against the Lightning the other night, you're seeing what happens to this team if they don't have a goaltender in there who can make at least 2 to 3 10-bell saves per game. Like, defensively, and it's not all on the personnel, although, like, Cody Ceci, man, he's come. Like, we were all singing his praises 3 games in, and now you're watching him and you're like, okay, Travis Dermott, let's get back in here. Like, this is brutal. But it's the forwards coming back in the defensive. The forwards are nowhere in the defensive zone. Nowhere. They're all up waiting to get that puck, to get it, skate out on the rush and do the stretch pass or whatever, as you said, the back pass. And so is that coaching? Is that Babcock telling the forwards to hang up around there? Or is that them all just deciding we want to score our goals and this is how we want to play?
Well, no, that back pass in the neutral zone, they usually do it on the power play, but sometimes you'll see them do it on 5-on-5. It's a little more rare than the power play, but like that's coaching. Like that's a set play, and they've been doing that set play for forever, for multiple years. And like, if you look at the percentages of, like, I don't know what percentages they're looking at, but for me, being a diehard fan watching every game, noticing these things, it's a play that's garbage, man. It doesn't work. It does not work. Maybe if you had Connor McDavid, it would work. But, like, none of these guys, like William Nylander is not getting that puck and somehow getting it deep and getting it back. Like, no. Like, it's just... I was texting my buddy before the game, and you brought up Hutch, and I'm like, it is not easy to be a goalie for this hockey team right now.
No,
like,
it's not.
Like, for a guy, like, what do you might as well need another number one to play backup, because if you just have a mediocre backup for this hockey team, he's gonna get exposed.
Yes.
And all those goals tonight, man, that the Capitals scored, those were like big boy shots. Like, those weren't just little dinky-doo shots. All of them were hammered, except for that Kuznetsov one. But that one was pretty sick. But like the Carlson, Backstrom, and Verano one, like those were hammered pucks. Like, great chances.
And like really, like good chances. Like no one really around. Like time to set up and wire it past Hutchison. Yeah, man. It's like, I don't want this to be like the all negative episode, and there are definitely going to be people who are listening to this that are like, it's 8 games in, relax. And it's like, but I love the way you said it. It's not 8 games in for this core. It's not. And we're still seeing the same bad habits that we saw for the last 2 years. And they're not getting any better. They still want to play the same style. It's like, and you're not, what you saw from the 2 teams in the Cup final last year, that's not how this team wants to play.
No.
And you're not going to go deep in the playoffs, and you're not going to beat the elite teams through a 7-game series playing the way the Leafs want to play. The only hope at this point that they have to eliminate Boston in the first round is they go out, they capitalize on all their chances off the rush, and Freddie makes 3 to 4 to 5 unreal saves. That's literally their only chance, which is the same exact chance they had last year and the same exact chance they had the year before. And it's like,
and I know someone's probably gonna throw it in our face about, oh, they went to 7 games with the Bruins. They're only a period away. They were up 3-2 last year. But it's like the hockey gods somehow would not let that hockey team win that series.
Ryan,
like, there's no way. I don't care if it was 4 games or 7 games. It's the same thing.
If people want to come at us with that argument and say, well, they had them on the ropes. Listen, I'm going to borrow a line from, I don't know if anybody listens to or watches Undisputed with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp, but I'm going to borrow a line from Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp says, I own a restaurant and we serve hot dubs and cold L's. So almost eliminating Boston. You get a cold L for that. It doesn't matter that you had them on the ropes. You still lost the series in 7 games.
Yeah, and I think I could speak for both of us in saying, like, we both know that the players on this hockey team, they're all good little hockey players. You know, like, if you put them in any, like, compared to, like, they're not bad hockey players. Like, they're not horrible. They're really there's some really talented dudes on this team. But when you put them all together, and you have a system that's non-existent, and you have a team that's just too much skill and not enough, like, heart and fight, this is what you get. You get a mediocre hockey team. All they've shown this year is that they're mediocre. They've beaten the crap teams, and they've lost against every good team. I know they had that one good game against the Blues, but guess what? Still a cold L.
Yep.
Like,
100%, man. So based on what you just said, you're saying that it's the coaching because you said non-existent system. So do you think that if they fired Mike Babcock tomorrow and Sheldon Keefe took over behind the bench, we would see an improvement? Or do you think
Yeah, I think we would.
the DNA of the team is as such that like these guys, Matthews, Nylander, Marner, all the core, I want to keep the bottom six out of it because at the end of the day, you're going to win and lose with your horses. So is it that they just are like, we're offensive hockey players, this is how we excel, this is how we want to play, we'll come back here and there in the defensive zone? Or is it this system is flawed, Mike Babcock is not getting the most out of these guys, they've either tuned him out or his system doesn't work or whatever, and he needs to be removed?
Well, one thing I know for sure is some of those guys have tuned out Mike Babcock, and some of them are sick of him for sure. That I don't, obviously I don't know that, but if I had to bet on it, I would bet. And you don't know for sure, like if Sheldon Keefe comes on and they bring down the house and it's all of a sudden they go on a run, I know that they would be a little bit better off the bat because there'd be a new energy. He'd change some things up. There's still a bunch of good little hockey players. Like if you make them do the right thing, we haven't seen it yet though. But in the long run, come April, May, June, I think what you said also with those group of players together, I still don't think it's good enough to get it done. But they could be a lot better and play a way better system.
But it is good enough. This is what's so frustrating, Ryan, is it's not a talent problem. Like, it's like, I don't look at this team and say, oh, you know what, they just don't have the talent. It's like, they have the talent. They're a good enough hockey team. But, like, they play in such a way that if you're the opponent, like you saw it tonight against the Capitals. The Capitals went in that first intermission, regrouped, said, okay, we're not going to play shinny. We're not going to play 3-on-3 at NTR. Sorry for those of you who don't get that reference. We're going to play a structured game. We're going to stand up at our blue line. We're not going to let them come through the neutral zone and across our blue line with speed because that's what they want. We're not going to turn the puck over in the neutral zone. We're going to get it in on them and cycle because they can't handle anything down low in their own zone. And look what happened. The Oshie goal. Or not the Oshie goal, the Backstrom goal that Oshie set up. Just blows right
just
by.
Outworked.
Just blows right by the entire team. Gets down there. They're all standing around watching because it's in the defensive zone. And they're like, where do I stand again? Where do I go? And on Backstrom's stick in the net.
Yeah, and to add on to that Capitals game plan, you just have to make sure you don't give up an odd 2-on-1 being too far in the O zone. And if the Leafs do get in the offensive zone, just don't put immediate pressure on them because they will just give you the puck and it'll be the easiest breakout night of your entire life.
Like
your entire life, if you just put some back pressure on them, they'll just wilt and give up the puck. I saw it so many times tonight.
Like, I don't want to get carved for being negative, and I don't want to get carved for people saying that, like, oh, we're like the older Leaf crowd that says they need more grit. That's the word I can't say it is when they say they need more grit. It's like, okay, well, I don't even know what that means. But it's like they're pretty easy to play against. And that doesn't mean go out and run everybody over. I feel like this is the 100th time I've said this on this podcast. Like, that doesn't mean go out and run people over and be dirty and whatever. Or Mitch Marner, who is not a physical player, to all of a sudden start being physical. But it's like you just said. It's like the Caps just take the puck off them, like, with ease.
Yeah, and the Caps don't have, like, yeah, they have Tom Wilson, and Ovi likes to throw the body a bit. But, like, they have a couple, like, softer guys on their team, too. Guys who are just skilled players who aren't physical. Like, not every team is going to have that perfect physical touch to it, even though it helps. But, like, just play a system that is going to make your team seem more gritty than you actually are. Like, it's a system can be gritty.
Yes.
It doesn't even need to be an individual player or like, guys doesn't have to drop the gloves or anything. Just play a system that is going to be effective and actually wear down the other team. Like, just don't, this one and done. Like, again, one and done in the O-zone. Like, it's not going to work.
So, they're 4-3-1. not a great start, but also not awful. I think through our discussion we've had here, we've sort of decided that Mike Babcock system and coaching is the main thing that we'd like to see change at this point.
Well, it's the only thing that can change immediately.
Yeah. And
like Kyle Dubas isn't going out and trading for somebody after he just did the whole spiel with all the contracts and having all this team together for a full year under all the deals. Like, the only immediate change you could make is firing Mike Babcock, which we might be overreacting a bit, but at the same time,
well,
they're
not gonna. He's not gonna get fired tomorrow. But like, let's just say, like at the end of November, the record is still hovering around. Like, what's it gonna take? Is it gonna take them, like being like? Let's just say at the end of November, they're in the 500 territory with their record. Is he in jeopardy of getting fired, or is it gonna take them completely falling out of playoff contention?
Yeah, I feel like if they're completely out of playoff contention, then that's going to be the mid-season reason to fire him. Because I think he has this year to prove himself. I think that's like the intention. It's like, well, let's give Mike this year with a new lineup and everyone's signed to have a full year and see what he can do. But if they're just not in the playoff race and they're chasing, then he'll be fired.
That's the only way I can see it. Like, I don't see them. I find it really, really hard to believe that they fire him in season. I think they either don't make the playoffs and he gets fired like the next day, or, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, anything short of an Eastern Conference final appearance, in my opinion, he should lose his job.
Yeah, there's so, like, everyone's it's early. Like, you know what? They're not that bad. They're 4-3-1. But I've been watching this team for way too long, man. It goes back to even further than the Babcock era. It goes back as long as I've been alive. It's just, I'm so impatient with this hockey team now because it's like I'm tired of being patient. Like, I'm at the point where I'm so impatient. Like, it might not be rational. Like, Mike Babcock's, I'm sure he's a great coach. Okay, he's got a lot of good ideas. He's made a lot of guys look really good. Nazem Kadri, all those guys. And he can put people in good positions. But there's just got to be a little more flexibility when you're behind the bench. Like, it's just all his shtick, his decisions, his doghouse, I'm tired of it. And if he needs to be fired, then, like, I don't care. Fire him. It's not overreaction to me anymore. It's a legit conversation.
All right, and with that, let's move into this week's selections for Bum and Beauty.
It's time to find out who's a bum and who's a beauty. Take it away, buds.
So what do you think, Rye? You want to go first? I go first? You go first? What do you think?
You go first.
I go first. Okay, you know what? You usually do Bum first. I'm going to start with Beauty first. I'm going to go with Justin Holl. Here's a guy who spent 70 games, Ryan. 70. 7-0 in the press box last year. And he's earned a spot out there so far this season. I said tonight, but he's been out there pretty much all year. And I think he's done a really good job, and I think he deserves credit, and I really like his game, and he doesn't make me nervous when he's out there, and I'm a very big fan and supporter of his, and I'm glad tonight he's saddled with good old Marty Marinson. So he's got that working against him, but other than that...
Well, at least it looks like he can stick handle a puck.
Yes.
Like Marty looks like he can't even stick handle sometimes.
But other than that, I think if I see him in the press box again this year over Marinson, I'm going to be like, jeez, Mike, what? Like, come on. So, Justin Holl, good for you. You overcame Babcock's ridiculousness last year, and now you're in the lineup every night. Justin Holl is my beauty of the week.
Nice. My beauty of the week is the guy I mentioned earlier, Ilya Mikheyev, whatever you want to call him, Tavares. It's going to be that type of deal. But I just like this kid. I love this. Honestly, he's more my beauty of the week because of the reporting in the dressing room of like this guy, how he's just the happiest dude, and he goes home and watches Friends on Netflix to learn English, and like Soup, and he works hard, man. He's fast.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't love a good bowl of soup?
Well, you're just in it for the baguette that goes with it.
Oh, I love a good bowl. I love like a nice bowl of Foss French onion, nice bowl of chicky noodle.
Oh yeah, yeah, Foss.
Oh, I love Foss, man. You get the keg.
Solid.
The keg has great Foss.
Oh yeah. There's a couple places you can find. But yeah, man, he's my beauty of the week. I just like what he's bringing to the table, and I would take him over Connor Brown, Patty Marleau, any of those bottom 6 guys that we've had to watch the past couple of years. I like his work ethic. He's basically just Hyman, just kind of less physical but more skilled. But he has the speed, and he's just like a big lanky dude just going around the ice. I don't know. I like him. He's my beauty of the week.
I want to do an honorable non-Leaf mention for beauty of the week. I would like to give a special beauty of the week shout out to Jordan Binnington. I don't know if you saw the pictures of his tribute to Cujo mask.
Yeah, the Cujo mask in St. Louis.
Yeah, like the Blues are wearing those like retro blue and like yellow unis.
Love those unis.
Yeah, they're wearing those, and that's the mask he's wearing with those. Oh, Cujo just reminds you of like the Leaf glory days, like the early 2000 Leafs. Like when the Leafs, and like I forget what it was like somewhere between 99 and 2002, where the Leafs swept the Senators and Cujo literally won all 4 of those games.
Yeah, just stood on his head.
So
just stood on his head.
Shout out to Jordan Binnington.
Yes.
All right, bum of the week. Go ahead.
All right, I've wrestled with this one back and forth, but I'm going to go with a bit of an unpopular opinion with some people, but I think from what I've seen the past couple of games, even though they were okay in the third period tonight, they actually had a couple good shifts. The Matthews, Nylander, Janssen line, not impressed, man. Just not
Even
impressed
with
whatsoever. No, it's not like Matthews is an unbelievable goal scorer, and when he pushes the pace, he pushes the pace. To me, it's more the wingers. Like William, everyone knows on this podcast
how you feel
I don't
about
care
William
if he scores
Nylander.
the nicest goal I've ever seen in my entire life. His play throughout the entire game when he's not scoring is horrific. It's awful. There's no effort. There's no physicality. There's no give-you-know-what meter. It's just zone entries and giving the puck away. And like, someone who watches this game back tonight, watch how easy this guy gets pushed off the puck. Like, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And if his only job is to score goals, and that's what he's best at, hit the net. He missed the net like 5 times tonight on good opportunities. Like, if you're not scoring, you're not doing anything. And Andreas Janssen, he's had a couple power play points, but
Mango.
He looks like an idiot out there.
Yeah. Mango does not look good. That's that.
No, 5-on-5, and I'm specifically saying 5-on-5. That line does not get me stoked. Like when Matthew scores a beauty goal, it's like, oh, they're not bad. But if you really dissect, stop watching the puck. Just watch those 3 guys maneuver around the ice in the O zone, in the D zone. Watch what they do other than score goals. It's not impressive at all. And it's just, they drive me crazy.
I feel like when you think about Janssen, aka Mango, you think about Kapanen as well. They're kind of like a 1-2, the 2-pack. And I feel like Kapanen's struggles early in the season have sort of masked how mediocre Mango has been. So I'm totally with you on that. I'm not
like he's just skating in circles, doing just like a merry-go-round, looking at the puck go by him in the O zone and the D zone.
I'm not as down on Nylander as you are. But honestly, I think that's because the bar is so low because he played so awful last year. Nylander's a funny one, man. Like people, like his defenders get so like upset if you start criticizing him, and it's like, listen, the guy's a super talented hockey player, no doubt about it. But he takes a few shifts off every game.
Oh,
no doubt.
You know
about
what,
it.
man? When those people, those analytical people who show you those stats to say that he's a good hockey player, I'll validate those stats. Those are good analytical stats. Like, I'm not saying he's not good at zone entries or whatever he says he does. It's just, for me, watching hockey my entire life, watching hockey players come in and out of this team for years and years and years, he is easily, because I always pick on the skilled guy who gives you nothing other than that.
Which is why you hated Phil Kessel.
I hated Phil Kessel. Well, I don't say hate, but I strongly disliked Phil Kessel. But you know what? I would take Kessel over Nylander any day of the week. At least Phil could take over a game when he wanted to. Like, Willie can't take over a game when he wants to. He gets the odd nice little wrist shot. And other than that, he's just soft everywhere. And he drives me crazy. And it's like, if this is a guy we're depending on to be one of our star players to help us through a series, the easiest way I could put it is if I was in a battle of a hockey game and we're down 2 like they were tonight, and I'm looking at the bench being like, who's going to come into the fight with me? And you look to your left and you see Zach Hyman. You're like, okay, I'm down with that. You look to your right, you see William Nylander. You're like, oh boy, we are in trouble. This is not a guy I want to go to war with. No.
Yeah, well, he's you're not alone in how you feel, Ryan, and there's a lot of people who will defend him to the bitter end, and that's their prerogative. And I'm kind of caught in the middle. There's times where I really like him when he looks good, and then I feel the way you do. Like, he makes me bipolar. Sometimes he goes out there, I'm like, all right, boy, Willie, there you go. And then other times he goes out there, I'm like, Jesus, this guy is soft. All right, my bum of the week selection is a 2-pack. I'm going with the Ceci and Riley defense pairing. They stink. Morgan Riley got 4 apples last night against the Minnesota Wild, and that's great, but he has had a brutal start to the season. Through 8 games, he is nowhere near the Norris conversation like he was last year. I know it's only 8 games. He'll get it turned around. He'll be fine. I'm not worried about Morgan Riley. But he's really, really struggled. He's way too interested in like jumping up in the rush and getting he's way too interested in that. And it's really affected his defensive game. And Cody Ceci, I'd like to give Cody Ceci a round of applause. This guy is a hell of an actor, because for the first 3-4 games of the season, we were like, hey, he's not that bad. It's an upgrade from Zaitsev. I'm sure if you check the tape like 2 episodes ago, I probably said that exact line. Hey, he's better than Zaitsev. This guy is brutal. Like, he's if he keeps playing like this. So let's hope that he's not an actor and I'm wrong. I really hope I am wrong, and that his potential and ceiling is how he played in the first 4 games. Because if he plays like he's played in the last 3, when the season's over, I'm gonna say bye, Cody. Thanks for your service for a year. Bye.
Yeah, it's probably what's going to happen.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, no, he's not good. He doesn't offer anything. He's like a crap Jake Muzzin.
Yeah, he is. He's
just a crappy Jake Muzzin.
Yes, he is.
Like, it's just that's like nothing exciting about the guy at all.
Okay. 2 things before we go. 1, what did you think of them sending Rasmus Sandin down to the Marlies?
Like, I could get upset about it, but it's like, you know what? If the guy's gonna just be in Babcock's little game all year, then send him down. Yeah. Like, let's not do this. I'd rather guy just go down, play for the coach that he's probably eventually gonna play for with the Leafs, and just get all the minutes you can. Don't play on the third pairing. I'm not gonna get upset because it's like, what is he gonna play on the third pairing with Marincin? And I know Dermott's coming back, but I don't want him to get caught in this press box thing with Martin Marincin all year, because you know it's coming if he stayed up. One bad game from that kid, there's Marty right back in the lineup, and the last thing you need is your top D prospect sitting in the press box. No.
I would agree on that. The rationale, again, I chirp Babs like no one else, but his rationale for sending him down, I agreed with. He's not getting enough ice time up here. He's not getting any power play time. Like, send him down. Let him run the Marlies power play. Like it's
we all believe he's going to be a good hockey player. He's probably better than Cody Ceci already.
Yes.
But it's just
he's definitely better than Marty Morenson.
You got to commit to the draft and development.
Well, sometimes I wonder if we're better than Marty Morenson.
Oh, dude, just watching that. I just want to see that guy do like a skills competition. See how painful it looks. Like, seeing that guy stick handle, it's like, dude, I don't even know if you can even do this.
No, I don't know if he can either.
You good?
No. All right, so Saturday night. Who's in town Saturday night, Ryan?
The Boston Bruins. You know what the Bruins have been doing so far this year?
Winning.
Dummying hockey teams with defensive play and chipping in from their top players and good goaltending.
Right, I really hope I'm wrong, but it could get ugly on Saturday night, man. I really hope I'm wrong.
I'm not even mad anymore. It's like the Bruins are just a better hockey team. Like, I'm not getting upset about it anymore.
Monday.
The Leafs win. Wow, that's a great bonus. Like, they saved that one. Like, the Boston Bruins are better hockey team. Like, up and down, the way they play. Obviously, when I'm watching the game, my fandom's going to kick back in and I realize how much I hate the Bruins.
Yep.
But I'm down today, man. I'm down right now. Like, I'm not in a good place with this hockey team.
So Bruins are at Scotiabank Saturday night. Monday night, the Columbus Blue Jackets are at Scotiabank Arena, and then yet another back-to-back the following Tuesday night, the night in which we'll likely do our next show.
This is the game.
Who do the Leafs play, Ryan?
This is the dummy game that you were talking about on Saturday.
Yeah, because it's at TD Garden.
I could see Saturday being a good old Bruin Leaf battle. Yeah. But Tuesday on a back-to-back?
Hutchison in
Hutch?
the net? Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, I know.
Might be the last game Hutch ever sees.
I know. This was the scenario last year where after the game, Garrett Sparks came out and said, playing in the NHL is hard. And then Babs just hated his existence after that.
Yeah, I wanted Hutchison to do so well, man. I was like his biggest fan before he let a goal in.
But Ryan, you made the point earlier. Like, listen, your backup goalie's not supposed to be a stud. Like, yes, he didn't play well, okay? And he didn't play that bad.
Exactly. Like, he didn't make like he didn't look. I'll admit he didn't look super comfortable in the net. Like, he was fighting some pucks. You could tell he hasn't seen NHL caliber shooting in a real life game setting in a while, so it looked like he was kind of uncomfortable. But like those goals, man, like they were rockets. Like those were just hammered one-timers. And Kuznetsov's a skilled hockey player, man. Like this, I'll cut him up. It wasn't a softie in there. Like those were rockets.
You made the point earlier that like playing in net for this team is hard.
Yeah, look how hard it is for Freddie Anderson. And he's a guy who's supposed to be a top 10 goalie in the league. What is a backup supposed to do? Curtis McElhinney a horseshoe up his behind for a couple of those starts. So let's not pretend he's like the GOAT of backups.
In any event, we got 2 games versus the Bruins over the next 3. Like I said, we'll likely be doing our next episode next Tuesday night after the Boston game. That could be an interesting episode. I apologize to everyone for us being so negative so early in the season, but it's really deflating to watch the same old.
I don't apologize. Yeah. I'm not apologizing.
One thing I do want to say,
I'm sorry.
One thing I do want to say thank you for, Ryan, is the folks who went on and gave us some iTunes reviews last week. Thank you very much for doing that. We really appreciate it. It's a massive, massive help. Thank you so much for your kind words. It's amazing. Can't say it enough. You guys are beauties. We love doing the show for you guys. So thank you very much for doing that.
Yeah. Nice to see some old 5-star reviews on there.
All right.
Some good comments. We need that stuff. Before we go,
okay,
I need all the Talkin' Buds listeners to congratulate my brother Rob for his engagement over the weekend. Please congratulate him. Congratulations, buddy. I'm so pumped for you.
Thank you, everyone. And Ryan, appreciate that. All right, so let's hope that next Tuesday night after the second of two, well, the third of three, but the second game against the Bruins, that we're coming on here and we're feeling better and it's a good showing and they turn it around and they played well. And I'm really hoping for that, Ryan. I really don't want to come on here next week and be like, oh my God, that was ugly.
Well, get ready, buddy, because that's exactly what's going to happen.
Oh, boy.
If you've been watching this hockey team for the past couple of years, you'd expect nothing less than us coming on here, and you might as well just repeat this episode, but insert different team names in, because that's exactly what's going to happen.
All right. Okay, and with that, thank you very much for downloading, everybody. We will see you next Tuesday night after the showdown at TD Garden.